Well, hey everyone, how we doing out there today? This is the Flip Flop Investor Show, and I am your host, Todd Bayer, the Flip Flop Investor himself. Every week we get together, we talk about real estate investing here in the Inland Empire, and I like to bring on a local expert or a local real estate investor and talk to them about what they do in real estate, and we see how it goes from there. But today we have a first timer, which we don't always get. Sometimes we get these repeat folks, and we already know who these people are, and who cares what they had to say? No, I'm just kidding. But this time we have Neil Alonso. How you doing today, Neil?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Todd. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah. So, you've been coming to the club for what, about 2 years now?
I would like to think, but no, I've been coming for a little over a year and a half, and it's been wildly sporadic. So I've seen the growth. I
don't see the difference between a year and a half and 2 years. It's like
it really is.
Round up.
No, because your group seems to grow from month to month in different ways.
So every time you come, it's gotten bigger and badder?
Well, the one time we just came this last month, we showed up and we want to do halves and wants, but only members can do halves and wants.
That's right, we changed that, yeah.
But it made sense because you used to have the longest line ever.
Man.
You
it would go forever.
Yeah, it made up a good hour in the one gallery that you had.
Right, yeah. We had to do it in that room last night because the Mission Inn didn't have the big room for us downstairs.
Yeah.
They had I don't know what they had going in there, but everybody was wearing name badges and stuff. It was some kind of, they probably paid them some crazy amount of money. And our agreement with the Mission Inn is if you can get somebody to pay you the ridiculous prices that the completely fair prices, not ridiculous at all, Mission Inn, we love and appreciate everything.
But you found a lot of value in the price you were paying before.
Of course.
That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, so, but they,
it took a little bit of time.
If they can get the price they would like to get for the room that we're in, you please, go ahead and get that price and we'll move to another room. So, yeah, we had to move to the less desirable room, but
I liked it.
Well,
because you walk down that galley now. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool experience.
Well, no, that's the room we like to be in.
Oh, so the other one that we were going to at the big hall for weddings, that's the one you don't like being in.
No, we like being in the big one that's on the lobby level. Okay. The one that we were in last night is the one up on the next floor up that has the big fountain out in the front. That's the one that we don't really like being in because it's a really long, narrow room. Yep. And so, for the people that are sitting in the back, they can't see the projector screen.
No, it's hard.
It's, it's not the most ideal room, but we make it work. But it's kind of nice because now we have access to that patio area out front.
Yeah.
So we do a 1 hour networking thing before the thing even kicks off for all members. And
it pays to be a member.
It does pay to be a member, man. It's cheaper. I don't know why people don't do it. So, whatever. I think we're finally getting the result from the membership thing that we were hoping for.
Yeah.
Which is what I was telling you before is, that more people, repeat people are coming on a more regular basis.
Yeah.
I think last night we only had 20% of the people that were there were newcomers, which is rare. Usually it's 50% of the people that come are newcomers.
You always usually have a lot of newcomers, but it's a good feeling when you're doing a meetup.
It is.
Have repeat visitors.
Yeah, because you have a meetup too, right?
Yeah, we do a number of meetups, so it always feels better, because it feels like you're actually providing value, because why else would they come back?
Right, exactly. Yeah, so, that's the goal. Is we want to have an environment for new people to come where they can, learn from some of the more veteran people. Mm-hmm. But we also want to have a place for the veteran people to come because we all like to work together and joint venture and do deals together. So, it's we have to keep all the people coming. We have to kind of build this ecosystem from for ourselves. This is, otherwise we have to venture out to San Diego and Orange County and LA County to meet.
Man, that's what I do. I'm having to hustle around, not just the Inland Empire. It's all of SoCal right now.
And if you're on the capital raising trail, it's just, that's the reality.
You're going everywhere. You're going to New York. You're not just staying in California.
Yeah, exactly. And you're no stranger to it. You kind of come to this world from like skateboarding, right? You kind of were in the skateboarding.
Oh, we're going there.
world.
Okay.
We could. Yeah, I don't know. We could go wherever you want.
You want me to be like Chunk from Goonies? Remember, he's like, tell me your backstory. And he's just I'll talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So that whole part.
Hey, we could start back when you were a kid.
No, we don't want to go back that far.
No? Well, you like a ruffian?
No, it's just that the show, it's only an hour.
Oh, okay.
There's been a lot of life lived, I'd like to think.
We're going to get to by the time you're 16, is that you just have so much stuff that had happened by that point?
You have a long life too, man.
I do.
You've packed it all in your years.
I've been trying to, So... where does your origin story start then? If you're going back and telling people the story of Neil Alonso, where do you start?
That makes an ego, all of a sudden I feel super important.
Oh, come on, you're on the radio now. You're making it, man. You're the big time.
Dope. So, I'll start, I guess you'd say, in my former life. That's what I like to tell people now because it literally seems like a former life.
Mm-hmm.
I retired. At 22.
Okay.
From racing supercross, motocross.
So you were obviously, prior to being 22, riding, practicing, motorcycles
I was in
and
shape.
stuff.
I didn't, wasn't the plus size male model,
Plus size. Man, who are you telling?
I'm big boned.
So am I.
Well, see, that's why we like each other.
That's why we had to, sit on opposite sides of the table. Otherwise,
We're
table
keeping
would
a nice
tilt
space.
over. Yeah.
Yeah, what you can't see is that this is a long table. It's one of those conference tables.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I retired at 22 from racing professional dirt bikes. That's why I have scars,
Yeah.
I was in a coma, that kind of thing.
Nice.
But prior to that, I was really into skateboarding, and the reason why I ended up getting into dirt bikes because we were living in Riverside.
Okay.
And it was before, a lot of what's happened with development. I mean, you could just ride anywhere.
Right.
You could literally ride to Corona. You could probably ride to Temecula. Actually, we did a couple times.
Wow, that's a trek.
It was awesome. It was so you would literally stop at a gas station and mix your oil into your tank. But
wow.
Started there. I already was into skateboarding, like I was saying, but my dad didn't know how to build a ramp, so he just got me a dirt bike instead.
Hey, why not?
It could have been a different life. I could have been a pro skater. So anyways, made some money. I wasn't super good. I wasn't the big guys like Carmichael or McGrath or anything.
Right.
I did my thing, and I had
Deacon, all them.
I had some moments. Well, I partied with them a lot.
Of course, yeah.
It was that time, when freestyle started, I got to see all that moved. And,
right.
But anyways, so it was a good time, a lot of memories. The money I had, not one asset to show for it, but a lot of memories, right?
That's surprising. I mean, so many of the guys that are in Supercross are just money financial, gurus.
Wizards, right?
Yeah.
And skateboard pros too.
Oh, completely. I mean, any professional athlete is just, a wizard when it comes to finances. Usually.
Oh, yeah.
You're the anomaly.
No. So anyways, that happened. And then I was looking for a job and, to fast forward that, did a lot of odd jobs like anybody else. And, but I always went back to, what I love, which was skateboarding, surfing, motocross.
Right.
Everybody calls it action sports, but when you live that lifestyle, it frustrates you because they want to categorize it. But regardless, that's what they called it. And just went and ended up doing some journalist work and then found that I had a proclivity to marketing. Did an agency for about a little over 10 years. We went from doing street teams for Everybody Hates Chris for the UPN.
Okay.
And literally went from there to being the PR agency of record for Caesar Canine Cuisine, which is a Mars pet food brand.
Okay.
And it was awesome because we went in there to pitch them about being their digital agency of record. We walked out, my partner and I looked at each other and like, oh, we're a PR agency now.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of great contacts from people in the PR world, some big agencies. So we were able to take care of the client, and it was an awesome time. It was a different ride. I was a lot bigger then.
Okay.
Because I didn't know how to separate my work from life at all.
Right.
And so I made no time for myself. It was just work and just
I can relate.
Super big.
Yeah, I can relate.
You put on pounds because you stop eating, which you didn't eat. You ate once today.
I
so
ate
you
once
know
today.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I had a sandwich and a little bit of soup.
But so anyways, had the agency, and then when we were done with it, then it was kind of like, well, what am I going to do now? And I had, friends in skateboarding, and because I hooked up some of my friends from skateboarding and surfing with certain promo deals because I was an agency, we did marketing, PR, digital. We built apps. We built apps for NBC Universal, Access Hollywood. And so it was kind of like, well, what do I do now? Didn't know what I was going to do. So my partner and he got me involved with a IRS investigatory agent as a partner, 70-year-old man who turned class action lawyer.
Interesting.
So the connection between that, I was just like, what?
Yeah.
And we did this company called RSVP Law. It did lead generation for lawyers. And
okay.
Lawyers, they serve a purpose. They're hard to deal with sometimes. A little bit of ego.
Sure. Oh, no.
Met some good people.
Yeah.
But we built software for it, and that's where our real value came from. And I had, a love for software. I know you love software. You've had some. Yeah. You and Steven have done some really cool stuff with software.
We've attempted to do some pretty cool stuff with software, and we just haven't really been able to get things off the ground as much with the software because it's a big road, and that's not our thing. Like, we don't have a proclivity for software. It's, even though like my background's in hardware, I used to build computers. I mean, that's what I did. It was like one of my first real businesses.
Yeah.
And so we don't have that thing that like gets a software product from concept to
you have a
working model.
But you showed me that working prototype.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked good. I mean, it worked well. It didn't look sexy, but it worked well.
Right. And that thing, the funny thing is, that took me like a day, like that particular thing. But the bigger version of that we started building, that started taking months. And then we realized we just don't have the time to take it to the next step, which is, going to require another couple months of just me and Steven sitting there every single day, like drilling on this thing, and like it's so much more work than people want to give it credit for sometimes.
Well, you have to get a good dev team, as you know.
Yes.
Your team is everything. I mean,
That's
is in
key.
real estate. It's just as much in coding and
Exactly.
app development. I mean, you can go down that rabbit hole so fast.
Yeah, and you can get the wrong team. I mean, like we went and had lunch not too long ago, you and I, and our dev team wanted to develop it 100% organically. It wanted to be all their own code. They didn't want to use any existing code that was already out there. And that's a surefire way to make the project go six times as long.
Yeah.
And cost 6 times as much. So that's pretty much what we got. Like we had this great idea. We could start pushing it down this road, but the time started eating into us, and the cost. I mean, it's just got too expensive. We couldn't afford to keep it going.
But you learned from it, right? You learned how to get to that minimum viable product, right?
Yeah, well, we never even got to the minimum viable
product. No, but for your next venture.
Yeah, for the next venture, we'll get there.
I'm sure it's helping you with your back porch.
Absolutely, yeah. For the tiny home company, I mean, we've definitely built that out, with a lot more education going into it than I think anything we've done prior to this. But that company's going to run so much more differently than any other company we've ever done.
But it's from all those learnings.
Exactly. It's all the things we've learned in the past, of all the things we've screwed up on, and I mean, that's just how it goes. You've been in business long enough, you're going to make mistakes, and, the real people separate themselves from the others by learning from those mistakes and doing something with it,
It does. So going back, I know we like to go on tangents when we talk. I've listened to your show, and you're a talker, man. So I know how stuff can just kind of roll.
It's because I don't talk the rest of the day. So this is like the one time during the day I get to actually talk to somebody. Most of my time spent like in front of a computer screen all by myself.
Is it really? No.
It really is.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean,
because when I saw you today, you were just getting back from an Mr.
Yeah. We were like out looking at property all day, but like that's not a normal day for me.
Oh, it isn't?
Most of the time, I'm a desk jockey. I'm sitting at my desk, like basically working on reports and all kinds of other stuff we have going on. So.
Okay. I got you now.
And I'm a social person, so it's hard.
You are.
It's not easy to do that.
People like you.
Geez, that's nice of you to say. I didn't think that was the case, but
people show up at the events. Of course, people like you.
I thought they came for Steve, to be quite honest, but I don't know. Maybe they come for me. Who knows?
So going back, didn't know what we were going to do, and then we did RSVP law. It was a really good learning experience.
Yeah.
It was a failure and a success at the same time, if such a thing can be.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was, again, what am I going to do? Am I going to do another agency? At that time, I was still a little burnt out with the client servicing side because it felt like it was 60% of our work. We didn't even get to do 40% of our budget spends on the actual work. So I was kind of like, well, what are we going to do? Well, my good friend, his name is DeVille Nunes. You've met him. He's come with me to a couple of meetups.
Yeah.
He's the skateboard team manager for Pal Peralta. And he's been that for 15 years now. Yeah.
Is he related to Stacy Peralta?
No, but they know each other.
Okay.
And Stacy's one of those magical people when you meet him.
Yeah.
He just instantly makes you feel super comfortable.
Yeah.
Like nothing is more important than what you guys are talking.
Yeah, the warm center of the universe.
He just makes you feel good people. I mean, but there's a lot of people at Skate One. The people own Pal Peralta and George Pal and this guy, Michael Furukawa. I mean, just good people.
Yeah.
But so DeVille and I have been friends for almost 20 years now.
Okay.
And so that whole time I was doing the agency and then the legal thing, he was always like, we need to do something together. And so the agency thing started winding down in 2013.
Okay.
And I think I was out of it fully by 2015. But in 2013, DeVille, was starting to work on real estate because skateboard team managers don't make that much money.
Okay.
But he loves it. I mean, he loves it and he's good at it. And he finds a lot of the good upcoming kids that end up getting stolen for other brands. But
big pocket people.
He was listening to Bigger Pockets, and I mean, they provide so much value. I mean, it's all free.
Yep.
And so he wanted to turn me on to it, and I'm like, I'm stuck in that agency mode still. You know what I mean? We had some really big years. Every year was always bigger, and that was one of our biggest kind of jumps. And in 2013, price on housing, as you know, was kind of
low.
It was still super low.
Yeah.
So he went and he got a place in Crestline. Him and another good friend of mine, Kilo, went and got this place. It's Kilo Kang. We're not talking about a kilo of cocaine.
Okay, good.
He didn't buy it with cocaine.
Oh, that's good.
But so they bought a place for $50,000, and I helped them throughout the whole process.
Okay.
And they ended up, upgrading it. We like calling them upgrades instead of rehabs because it's a positive connotation.
Sure.
But they started upgrading it, and they wanted to turn it into a rental. And so they did. And because of bigger pockets, they knew the BRRRR method. So that was always the goal, was how many doors can we turn this one door into more doors, right?
Yeah.
And so that was the beginning. And so from 2013 to fast forward to today, that one door has opened 11 doors, from the BRRRR method. I mean, obviously we've done other investments and raised other things since then, but that just shows you the power of the BRRRR. And it started from a skateboard team manager's salary.
Okay.
And so it shows that if you don't have much, it's not so much that you can't make it happen. It's that you're not willing to work to do it.
Right.
So we learned a lot from that. But that was 2013. The agency, I told you, was kind of hot and heavy still. So now let's say we're in 2015, more recently 2016 after the law thing. And DeVille's like, why don't we just start doing this full time more together?
Okay.
Or more so me, because he still is a skate team manager.
Yeah.
But it's not a full-time job being a skate team manager.
No.
But so we started, doing more things together in real estate, mostly single family buy and holds, and then looking at multifamilies, at the 4 units, because commercial wasn't something we had done yet, and it's always easier to kind of keep expanding what you already know. So from 2013 till now, it's like we always knew certain things, and so we stuck with that. Now we're starting to venture into commercial and multifamily, but for our own personal buy and holds.
Right, right.
But as you know, about 2 years ago, we went to the OC RIA, the Car and Halls meeting, and we saw Andy Teasley talk. And it was around, holiday time of what, 2016?
Okay. I think I might have been at that one.
You probably, you're at everything. So we were there, and we heard Andy talk. And if, anybody knows Andy, he looks a certain way, he talks a certain way, and he has his own quirky funnies. And one of the things he really was hitting on was the Lonnie Scruggs, mobile homes, mobile home parks.
The Deals on Wheels.
Deals on Wheels, man.
It's a good book.
It's an easy read. It's an easy read like Harry Potter, man.
Yeah,
and so
it's even easier than that. Jeez, it's shorter.
It is shorter, right? And so it was something that most people kind of look at, and they think about the stereotypes.
Right.
And so we're kind of like, I don't know. Okay, let's go take a look, because the ROI that Andy was breaking down was pretty phenomenal, and your exposure to it was super small.
Right.
So it's kind of like, okay, let's go check that out. So it's the holiday. Nothing's really going on. Everybody's shut down. So I get to hang out with my friend all day. DeVille and I get to drive around, just talk a bunch of, crap. And just have a good time. And one thing I learned about mobile homes parks is that they have a lot of speed bumps. And when you're driving in those, it boom, 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 all day.
Yeah.
You start to get sick, man. So one of the things that would be nice with mobile home parks, figure out a better way to slow people down. But it must do something. So we started going to all these parks, and without embellishing, we went to about 45 parks.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot.
And this was just in a small portion of Riverside Redlands.
Okay.
We didn't even dip our toes in what's really out here. I mean, there's
a
but
ton.
they're everywhere.
And for a lot of people out there, they probably don't realize how many mobile homes are actually, or mobile home parks are actually out
everywhere.
there.
Yeah.
They're everywhere, especially out here in the Inland Empire. But I was actually just talking to our investor we were driving around with today.
Yeah.
He's talking about one up in Santa Cruz that has like these amazing oceanfront views, of like the Santa Cruz area. And like they're selling a mobile home up in Santa Cruz. I think he said it was $150,000 how much you could buy this mobile home for.
Okay.
However, the space rent is $4,600 a month.
Oh, sounds like Malibu.
Yeah.
Malibu and San Clemente have places like that.
Exactly, because you're like the units themselves don't change pricing much.
No, you could have the exact same unit in, Cathedral City.
Yep.
And it could be in Santa Barbara, and just because it's
dirt you're sitting
location
Exactly.
still, even though it's personal property and it's mobile, quote unquote, it still is location.
Yeah.
But it's amazing the value in those things.
Yeah, so he was like, him and his wife were considering moving into this place because, like, I don't know, do we really want to move into a mobile home park? He's like, it's the nicest mobile home park I've ever seen. I think it's probably the nicest one in the history of man, but,
So, so that's the thing, right? There's 32,624 mobile home parks in the United States.
Okay.
According to the Mobile Home Manufacturers Institute report. And the only reason why I know that is because of, we're pitching, a lot of different people for different fundraising.
And that number's going down.
Well, supposedly, in some aspects it is, but then, with the opportunity zones and then a lot of the new things that have been happening, it would be nice to see new places built, and they kind of are in their own little funny ways, like it's up in Ojai, the Airstream.
Okay, yeah.
The Airstream place.
Yeah, Airstream's kind of came back a little bit. You
Right.
know, I mean, mobile homes they're not going anywhere. I mean, last year alone, like Cavco, one of the leading mobile home manufacturers, they produced over 14,000 mobile homes last year. I mean, that's pretty impressive, but that's across multiple platforms like Fleetwood and some of these other big ones we're all familiar with today.
Clayton.
Yeah.
That's Berkshire. That's Warren Buffett.
Yeah, there's another one.
And the moment you hear Warren Buffett's involved with something, you're kind of like, well, it can't be bad.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's housing, and, it's an affordable option.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people out there, they don't make enough money to buy an actual home. So a mobile home park is the only option you get where you're not going to share a common wall with somebody, and you get your own space, your own little yard, and, pretty good sized unit for a fairly affordable price, and it's for many people, that's the only option they have. And it's underserved, to be honest.
And the stereotypes, they're valid in some places, but we walked a substantial amount of parks just in the beginning.
Yeah.
Most of them are not true. It's
of
just
course
good
not.
people, it's affordable housing. And it's just, we met so many good people. Put it this way, we got to see a lot of humanity.
Yeah.
And that's the part we like the most.
Mm-hmm.
So, in following, looking around and talking to people, it's just something that we enjoyed. And after we did our first home, we saw not only the happiness that the lady had, but we were solving a real problem.
Yeah.
Because of, just the situation that she had.
Well, yeah, and mobile homes, like, they have limited financing options in some cases.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, it's sometimes kind of difficult to be a mobile home owner because of some of the issues that you have to deal with when you try to sell it or when you try to get it fixed. Because not all of them are built to, like, residential standards, so you're not putting in, like, standard residential doors. Like, sometimes there's some, like, problems, and they can be more expensive, for people to have to fix some of these things down the road. So and the specialty people you have to know to do it, because you can't just call regular contractors. A lot of them don't know how to work on a mobile home.
No, it's really funny. The escrow company, the lady that we work with, she's been in the business for almost 35 years, and so she's been a wealth of information.
Yeah,
and then the park managers, park owners that we met, they've been a wealth of information.
Who's your escrow?
Emerald.
Oh, okay, Donna Path.
No, Terry Napier.
Well, Terry works there, but Donna's the owner.
Okay. See, you're higher up. That's why you know them. I know Terry. Well, Terry came over from, I guess, Town and Country.
Yep.
And we had met her through.
From Mobile.
We met her through a contact that we had at Silvercrest.
Okay.
So it was really nice that we got to meet with her. Because we also use Express Escrow.
Okay.
They've been in the game for 40 years. I mean, I think some of the people that were even part of that or friends with them had also written some of the laws with HCD, so they've been in the game a long time.
Okay.
And so to that point, there's so many nuances to dealing with mobile manufactured home.
And plus it's auto title, it's not
personal property.
It's not personal. It's personal property. It's not traditional real estate. So for a lot of folks that are constantly working with the county recorder's office, you're not working with the county recorder.
No.
So it's a different avenue you got to go down.
Most of the United States operates by DMV law, as opposed to having a governing body like we do here in California. And it's kind of Wild West in that way. You know what I mean?
Out here?
Well, no. Well, it still is a little Wild West.
I was like, not so much, but
But when it's governed by DMV, there's. I mean, think about cars.
Yeah.
If they're titled like a car, then they're sold like a car.
Exactly.
And you see, everything from Craigslist to Auto Trader, and you see the history that's gone through that. So there's a lot of similar, deals that have gone down.
Yeah, but but financing also, there's sort of a little bit more leeway in there too.
Yeah.
For like seller financing is a lot more common. You see that in mobile homes than you do in regular homes these days. I mean, you see seller financing in other parts of the country more, but in California, you don't see it very often. Like, if I'm going to sell you my house, you're going to get a loan from a lender. You're going to go to Chase or Wells Fargo or something, get your home loan, and you buy the house, I get the money, we move on. Like, I probably don't even see the money because you're probably paying off my lender. But it's but when you're dealing with mobile homes, a lot of times the sellers are selling them
financing
off, where they're just selling it to you and they're the bank now. You're making the payment to them.
And there's a lot of advantages of doing that. I mean, from if you're a homeowner and you're wanting to sell your mobile home, seller financing is obviously one of the best options for you, because what we've seen, and I know you're privy to now, is that it moves quicker if you offer some sort of financing, especially seller financing.
Yeah.
But the laws of DoddFrank, as we know, they make it challenging.
They do.
Some of the personal property stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of great information out there.
Sure.
That helps you navigate that, but.
And I can say with some level of confidence that if it's your own home, you've lived in it, it was your primary residence, and you're selling it off, doing a seller carryback is perfectly fine. DoddFrank doesn't have any rules against that per se.
I think it's 1 for every 12 months for an individual, and then 3 for an LLC, unless you have a mortgage loan originator. But we're not giving people legal advice.
Of course not. We would never do such a thing.
Go look on the internet.
Yeah, if you're gonna do a seller carryback, you should by all means speak to an attorney.
Yeah.
Before you do so, because we're just a couple guys on the radio.
Yeah.
You don't know how many drinks of alcohol we had before we came on here.
Well, wait, weed too. I mean, it's legal now, right?
Weed? What?
Weed? No. Oh, you had some.
Are we talking about that?
You
No,
had
just
some topical cream.
Yeah.
The CBD topical
CBD cream. Yeah. Just a little CBD.
That's
Nothing big. Yeah.
Do you rub it like on your
I
chest
don't
at
know.
all?
Is that what they do with it?
I mean, they could. The
I'm
ones
sure-
with THC, I'm sure it makes you tingle.
We'll have to try it out another time.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, there was a
No, I
show-
wasn't going to help you.
well, fine then.
Well, no, I'm a
somebody
friend.
else.
No, it's a fair point. I
You
am
wear
a friend.
gloves. there was actually another show on the radio here at one point on KCAA. It was about marijuana basically, and they talked about sort of marijuana from sort of like High Times magazine. They talked about it sort of like from the reporting side of things. But I guess a couple times they were like smoking it on the air, and they'd they were like somebody came on as a guest, like he was sort of selling it on the air, which is like a big no.
Oh,
because this is still a federal. It's a federal communication. FCC is still the mandation for
Dean Wilson, a Supercross racer, and Chad Reed, another
Supercross.
iconic Supercross racer. They're both sponsored by CBD companies.
Okay,
and they can't show their logo on TV because it's filmed and it's shown on NBC Sports.
Okay,
so they have these big old stickers when they're racing. It just says censored. It's the funniest thing. But even though it's censored because it's become such a topic point, it's actually, I think, driven more impressions to them. So the marketing is actually giving them a lift.
Yeah, like what is the censored sticker people are going to search for?
Yeah, they're like, what is it? And even Chad Reed, he got a podium after, a couple of years, and he's all, look at my helmet. Go to my Instagram, see what this is about. And then I think Dean Wilson's one is by Dan Blazarian, Ignite. Something like that. Yeah. So
that's, I mean, hey, it's coming. And you know what? I mean, the regulations are going to change eventually. That's just the reality.
There's going to be a lot more investors.
Of course.
Yeah, well, people like you are going to help them with their investments.
I mean, I can't say that I'm not already currently invested, but I mean, that's the thing is that we blend lines in real estate because you need land to put these facilities, you need land to to grow the crop, you need land to sell it, you need buildings and all kinds of stuff. So it's a real estate play also. So it oftentimes ties in, like a lot of the different mailing lists and stuff that I'm on. Marijuana has become like a major topic.
Yeah.
So like everybody's trying to figure out, they're trying to navigate the legal waters of marijuana distribution and growing and all that stuff here in California. Because just because it's legal here doesn't make it legal.
Well, it's still not federally legal.
Exactly. Yeah. So like you can't actually take the cash that you're collecting, and you can't use credit cards to purchase and all this stuff, and even the suppliers can't use it. Yeah. Like there just becomes all this cash that's floating around. Yeah. And these people are like cash heavy. They have actual cash, not like it's not sitting in a bank account. It's like cash they have stored in a safe.
Yeah.
And like it's scary for some of them.
Yeah.
Like I know a guy pretty well that he's very scared about how much cash he has on him. And I'm like, well, you're telling too many people. If you told me, then I'm like, maybe you should stop telling people you have all this cash on hand. He's like, I'm hoping somebody's going to give me the solution to get rid of some of it. I'm like, well, I know a really good way you can get rid of a lot of cash.
Yeah.
You just get robbed. You won't have to deal with it anymore.
Robbed, and then all of a sudden you start receiving interest payments on that robbery.
That's the IRS would probably be very interested to hear about that one.
I know, right? So we met a lot of people who've been trying to solve problems with real estate as it relates to that, and they've been buying land to lease it out to people who want to grow on certain plots of land. Yeah. So it mitigates the liability between the grower and then the landowner, and it's almost funny, it operates similar to a mobile home park, right? Because you have your personal property on top of the lot that you're doing the lease with. And that's what they're doing. It's almost like storage units for marijuana growth. And we know a few people are doing it, and it's quite lucrative. That's how it's going to be in the beginning. Yeah. Anything that's new, there's going to be a ton of money in it. Just like a storage unit, if they don't pay their rent, what's kind of cool now is you're not doing storage wars. You're selling weed. Yeah, exactly. So if they don't pay their rent, you get to close them up and you get to harvest their crops, I guess. Something to think about. Hope we know what you're doing. Our guy over here in the booth, he's giggling about that. Yeah, Nick, he's, I'm sure Nick's read at least an article or two about marijuana. He's wearing an Iron Maiden shirt, of course. Yeah.
He's like, I got to chime in here. What he
He's got
got?
number of the beast.
I was quite an expert in college. Not so much anymore.
Right?
I
Please
just
mature.
want to throw that out there.
Hey, there you go. But you know some stuff about it.
You're
Yeah,
mature.
Sure.
And you don't want to try your own supply. I think that's rule number one, right?
No, absolutely not. No.
So back in college, what would have been your input today? If you go back to your college self, what would be some of the ways you'd weigh in on this conversation?
I would say anything from Northern California is too strong, and you want to just stick local
There you
and
go.
make sure you only buy from your friends.
It's like the farm to table concept.
Yes, exactly.
Buy
Not that
local.
I would know about any of this.
Right? No, it's
Seed
all,
to puff.
Yeah, exactly. Seed to puff. Well, thank you, Nick.
Yeah. So yeah, I wonder if it's kind of like honey, since he's saying stay local. You know how they say when you move somewhere, and if you want to get, I guess, an immunity to whatever local pollens and flowers and whatnot, you're supposed to, take a couple tablespoons of the local honey.
Local honey. Huh.
So maybe that's what you're supposed to do now. With
Maybe.
marijuana. You do the local marijuana.
I don't know. I have no sensitivity. I have a high sensitivity to marijuana. So I'm not a user myself.
I mean, we go to a lot of different things, both when we were doing the agency and skateboarding.
Right.
You could just walk into certain rooms and and all of a sudden you're walking out, you're just hungry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I couldn't imagine in the skateboarding world that being a thing. But you're hipping me to all this new information.
Well,
right
it's not
now.
just, it's just society. It's just a lifestyle.
I know it is, and
But getting
Whatever.
back to real estate.
Right. Well,
'Cause
we
that's
were
what
talking
here on the
about
flip
real
flop.
estate.
Yeah, it definitely went down that path. But yeah, that's how we got into mobile homes. You like how I just went?
Yeah,
full
exactly.
circle?
Just took us all the way back. We
Well,
don't
you went
always
with me
come
on
back.
this ride.
Yeah, well, we don't always come back on the show. Sometimes we start going down these
I
roads,
listened to a few.
and people are like, "Hey, man, I wanted to hear more about what you guys were talking about with X," and we just never came back to it. So
Do you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing? Because I mean, I love what we hear it all the time at our meetups that we're having.
Yeah.
Airbnbs with the ADU units. I mean, because they are a form of manufactured housing,
Right.
And you're starting something right now that's
yeah, we are.
we're a fan of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting it. But I mean, you're the star of the show today.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Nobody cares about me, but yeah, we are starting.
Well, this
thing.
was a
We're gonna-
nicer segue for you to be like, no, let me tell you.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay, I got you.
the airtime's not for me. I just enjoy talking to people, but
Yeah.
it's like.
But what you're
honestly-
doing, just so you know, we've gotten a lot of feedback in that space.
Yeah.
And it's really good. And to highlight what that is so we had a meetup this last week at a WeWork in the gas towers up in downtown LA.
Okay.
It's all about Airbnb investing.
Yeah.
And when we were having that, everything was being talked about ADUs
Mm-hmm.
because accessory dwelling units can act as an Airbnb solution.
Right.
And it can turn out to be quite profitable because a tiny home, the per square footage is not what it is with stick builds
Of course.
whatsoever. I mean, what about is it, do you think? that
So
square footage?
our smallest unit's 262 square feet.
Okay. And what do you think is the square footage per cost? Is it 60?
To
80 bucks?
to build them.
Per square foot usually.
So yeah, I mean, obviously our construction costs
Yeah.
are still. We haven't actually figured out exactly what our construction costs are yet because we haven't built our first unit yet. But once we do build our first unit, we'll be able to figure that out. For right now, I mean, we're in the very preliminary stages. Like we're actually taking possession of our warehouse tomorrow.
That's so awesome.
So on the 1st of March is like when we finally get our warehouse, we can start building these things. The trailer's been ordered, so I can tell you how much that costs. But these things are going to come to our place, and then but we're going to sell them off that small unit that's 262 square feet. We're going to sell for $50,000.
Oh, so do the math on that. Yeah, the square footage on that is way
Exactly.
better than what you're going to deal with stick builds.
Absolutely, and and we're going to finance them too. So same 30-year kind of structure, where somebody could give us a $3,500 down payment
Yeah.
and roughly about $439 a month.
You going to hold on to those notes?
Yep, we'll hold on to them as long as we can.
Lucky man.
I know. I mean,
So
notes are one of my favorite ways to make money in the business because, like with a rental, you're gonna have issues no matter what. I mean, they're gonna happen. Your water heater eventually is gonna need to get replaced. Your roof
Yeah.
is gonna eventually need to get replaced. When you're the lender, you don't care about any of that stuff.
you don't get that phone call.
No, you never do.
Yeah.
Like the only phone call you'll ever get will be from the borrower saying, "I can't make the payment this month." And you say, "Okay, then I'm going to foreclose." I mean, that's your remedy.
Well, since you own the personal property, that's because what we do with the mobile homes is since it's personal property and we own it, we can be the ones to take it back, but we're also the ones fully vested in it.
Yep.
So if 07 happens again, we're not in the same position as a normal lender. Lenders, they're not in the business, well, most of them at least, they're not in the business of flipping houses.
Right.
So they just have the financial claim to the property or the asset.
Exactly.
In this case. So in cases like we're talking about right now, we have more options, right? And that's kind of a big thing when you're an investor. How many exit strategies can you have?
Right. And how many ways can I, preserve the capital?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, there's the more ways you can preserve the capital, the better the investment is for the, potential investors.
Yeah.
So
with our meetup, that was a big topic is people want a cash flow, right?
Yeah.
And because if anybody's read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a few people, it seems to be the book with which you're baptized these days when you're doing anything investing. I mean, we read it. I read it.
Yep.
I've got my kids reading it now because I want, we talk about a lot of things with education, but we need to give people tools, right, to make better decisions, in my opinion. So I felt like that was a tool that helped me make better decisions, not with real estate just in general, but kind of looking at value in different ways.
Right.
And so what we were talking about at the Airbnb meetup was how do I continue to create value in not just, we're talking about things maybe in the Inland Empire where there's more land, but people are still trying to create value and solve a problem with people, your mother-in-law moving into a place or your kids wanting to still live, but in LA, in Orange County, San Diego, it's getting super hard. So these ADUs solve a real problem by doing exactly that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be expensive to live in an urban area.
Yeah.
Like whenever you see urban density increasing, I mean, that just means that there's going to be less and less affordable housing options.
Yeah.
Like that's why like the median rent in LA right now is like $3,200 a month. Like that's to people out here in the Inland Empire, like that's my entire monthly budget.
Yeah.
For like groceries, for my utilities, for my rent, for everything that I got going on out here. Like that's just your rent. That doesn't include your utilities. That doesn't include your groceries, your car payment, like anything else you got going on.
Yeah.
Like it's expensive to live in an urban kind of environment, because everybody wants to live there, I guess. I don't personally like living in an urban environment. I've done it.
You're super social.
It's,
you can walk out your door and start talking.
Because, I don't know, in an urban environment, like, it's amazing how, like, antisocial you can get living in an urban.
It's true. With today's conveniences,
Yeah.
you got DoorDash.
Exactly.
Man, it's going to be a world of Wally.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, you end up spending more time in,
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to get stuff to you. And, like, like I like going out and like going out to places and hanging out with friends, like the backyard barbecue. There's no backyards in LA. So, I mean, you can't do a backyard barbecue there. You got to go to a barbecue spot, which,
So that brings back to ADUs. How do you build in areas and provide more housing in areas that already have these dense populations and these buildings that are not easy to, remodel?
Right.
And you got to have, the fat pockets to do it. So
plus, I mean, out in LA, there's so much historical stuff.
Yeah.
You got historical societies out there that, are going to prevent you from building anything or changing the way it looks or whatever, and it's sometimes it halts progress, and I can appreciate where the historical societies come from. But it kind of like where's the 2019 style house?
Yeah.
Like it's great that we want to preserve the 1920s style craftsman homes. Like that's great.
Yeah.
But at one time they had the freedom to build a new style of house, and they did. But we don't see the 2019 style of house because where are you supposed to build these things?
It's such a challenge. I'm not going to name specifics, but if you Google, there's a lot of developers and companies that get government grants. And I saw one come across my feed the other day. They had a grant for $54 million to do affordable housing. They built, I think, 68 units.
That's going to do it.
With $54 million.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, you're doing the math, especially when you're a real estate investor. You're kind of, wait a minute. And then if you start thinking about, mobile homes or manufactured homes or ADUs, you're kind of like, that same money, you could do 580, if not more.
Yeah.
I mean, the math isn't making sense on that.
Yeah, it's, I mean, one thing government grants are notorious for is, overspending and, one hammer cost $400. And, explain that one to me.
We're going all NPR almost on this topic,
I know,
right?
Well, I mean, it's,
Who's the guy? Guy Raz?
on
you guys
NPR?
know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
He does this cool show about how I built this.
Okay.
He did a show with the lady who did Canva. He did one with one of the founders of Kickstarter. It's an awesome show. It's kind of like a more positive version of Adam Ruins Everything.
Okay.
You ever saw that show?
Yeah, I love that show.
Yeah. So, but it's really good.
It's like a TV show or like radio?
No, it's a
or-
podcast.
Podcast. Okay.
Yeah, we're on radio. I'm not going to cite, I'm trying to keep it in the same medium here.
There are different media types out there,
No, right now it's just radio.
Yeah, it's just radio. Yeah, we were joking about it last week. We were joking last week about how like we're on the new wave of things. We just got on the terrestrial radio. It's it's the new thing. The kids love it.
Well, here's the cool part about it. These radio waves and everything, they're still going to be able to hear us once the lights go out for a certain period of time.
It's true.
If Wi-Fi is not working, you can still tune in with rabbit ears if they can find some.
Yeah, you can. if kids these days knew how to operate a radio,
right? They could code one faster. They could probably turn one on.
Yeah, as long as it had Wi-Fi or internet available.
Try to tell them how to make a mixtape for like Spotify playlist.
Oh man, I can remember that. I used to you'd record like songs off the radio and like make a mixtape that way,
I used to record a whole night of pirate radio. I just leave my recorder on record
I know.
because that's when they would play with the least amount of commercials.
Right.
And since you couldn't do tape to tape editing with the little Walkmans.
Yeah.
But we should get back to real estate.
Yeah,
because
okay.
everybody's listening.
Oh yeah.
They want to hear something.
It's a real estate show. I forgot. Yeah. So okay, you're getting into mobile home. Okay, you're into mobile homes already. Like that's your primary focus now. Like
So it's funny that you put it that way. While doing it, we're looking at it at a volume perspective.
Yeah.
Right. So personal property, we've reverse engineered what CarMax is doing.
Okay.
We're not the first people to think of this. We're not reinventing the wheel.
Sure.
I think we might be trying to take it on at a bigger capacity than other people,
Mm-hmm.
but it's probably because maybe our background. I've always big fan of VC funding, not necessarily getting VC funding, but what happens with companies. I mean, you get to get things at scale when you start going down that route. And there's been a lot of great things. I mean, Uber, for all of its worries and headaches right now, they've solved some really big problems. I mean, essentially, they took the stereotype of taxi cab driving and made it a white collar job.
Yeah.
You're talking about gentrifying culture in a different way, because people who drive Uber are completely looked at different than people who used to drive yellow cab.
Right.
So
even though a lot of yellow cab drivers drive Uber.
Yeah. Well, they are now. But we met people. So say you go to San Francisco. We met a lawyer who was driving Uber to get clients. We met a couple young guys who were doing a startup and looking for funding and driving Uber so that they could pitch investors. So they always hung around, some of the bigger players in, Menlo Park and Palo Alto.
Yeah.
So, but bringing it back, CarMax, they did for used auto sales, that stereotype. I mean, that's a
used
big
car
cliche.
dealers. Yeah, exactly.
They did that, and so
The
we're
cheap
looking
suit
at
and
it.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're looking at it and going, okay, this makes sense, and that's what we're looking at as we're looking at volume. But when we started looking at volume and actually started doing the business, it's there's just a lot of nuances to it, and you don't really know how much is involved with anything until you really sink your teeth into it and dive head first.
Oh, of course.
You're learning a lot.
Well, so many things look so simple, when you see it being done from a distance, and it's not until you get into it yourself that you realize all the things you didn't know.
And everybody's always afraid about sharing their idea because they feel like it's going to be stolen, and it can be in some cases, but execution is a big thing, because look at Pandora to Spotify.
Yeah.
Pandora still is not profitable.
Right.
And then you have, Zune, and then you have the iPod.
Oh.
So, so you just look at everything. It's all about execution. But still, at the end of the day, it's that combination of execution, good timing, good investors. And we're kind of looking for all those things. But one of the bigger pieces is we're trying to put a layer of tech. We're big fans of tech. We're big fans of blockchain. Not so much cryptocurrency, but blockchain.
Yeah.
With smart contracts, tokenization of assets. There's a lot of companies doing a lot of really cool stuff with that.
Yeah.
And it's being funded by, people like Andreessen Horowitz, Sequoia Capital. And,
Right.
We're big fans of that. And we see what's happened with HCD, and we see there's a need for bringing things more digitally. So we're wanting to solve problems on a bigger level. But when you start looking at things that way, people can get overwhelmed. But at the same token, too, it's like, when you look at it holistically as the whole ecosystem, you might be able to find efficiencies in how you're able to solve that problem and make it, not just easier for the consumer, but for the people actually executing it. So we're working on a couple things right now that have a tech overlay to as part of the offline world. I think Alex Rampell from Andreessen talks about offline to online in a number of ways. And so that's one of the things we're really focused on with manufactured homes. It sounds funny, but most of our buyers that we've experienced, a lot of them, their computer is their mobile phone.
Yeah.
It almost feels like China, because China is like that.
But it's amazing what you can do with a mobile phone now.
Yeah.
Versus 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I remember my first like real like smartphone was a Windows phone.
Yeah.
Because it had the most like computer like functionality on it. So I could actually do quite a bit on it. It had a little stylus pen.
Was it a Palm Pilot?
No, it was an actual Windows mobile like cell phone.
Oh, I vaguely remember.
So like, but the problem was like iPhones had gotten so big at this, like they started getting really big.
Oh,
So like
okay.
if you wanted any of the good apps, they were all, you know,
Yeah.
on iPhones. So like I couldn't play Angry Birds. I couldn't play, you know, Plants vs. Zombies. Like all these good games that all my friends are playing. I'm like, why did I get this stupid Windows mobile phone? Like, cool, I've got Excel. I've got Word on here.
I'm
I can
sure you
I
had
can do
Solitaire.
PowerPoint. I did have Solitaire and Minesweeper.
Did you ever have a Newton?
No, but I did have I had a Palm, well, not a Palm Pilot, but I had it was a Handspring. It was called Handspring. It was another company. It was an offshoot of Palm. And I actually had that in college.
Yeah.
I used that as like my note-taking thing. I had a little
Okay.
fold-out keyboard and all this
Yeah,
stuff because, you know, I've always been kind of a tech nerd. So, yeah, as soon as like those things came out, it came out in color. I'm like, oh, I got to get this thing. It's got a 256-bit display. This thing's amazing, you know. Like, so yeah,
Dope.
it was fun, man. Like I've always enjoyed tech, but like. Yeah, that's where it's headed. I mean, we have to find a way to kind of blend the real world with the virtual world, and the whole blockchain thing where you could have these smart contracts where you're able to trade essentially a mobile home, through a smart contract. You're creating these ways where you can transfer title, transfer ownership. Even like the lender could be paid along the same exact thing. It's all tied to one thing, and it's.
If you can do it decentralized now, you don't have the trust factors there. That's the
Exactly.
biggest thing. And
Yeah, because you can't cheat a hard-lined digital
an
rule.
algorithm. Well, it's
Yeah,
not just
you
an
can't-
algorithm, but it's a if this then that type protocol.
Exactly. You can't cheat that.
No.
At least nobody's figured out a good way to do it yet, so.
The best way I tell people about blockchain is I said, this dollar bill, I'm going to give you this dollar bill.
Thank
and
you.
you're going to give that dollar bill to somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, you might give it a dance club. Who knows? But it's a
Yeah,
dollar, right?
exactly.
You could still buy off the value menu. But that dollar, every time it goes to somebody new, it gets hashed. It gets a nice little code written on it.
Yeah.
That it will never change. It basically stamps it like boom. So once that dollar's been passed to 50 people, it has 50 different stamps on it.
Yep.
Its location, its timing, it's the person giving it, receiving it. That's blockchain.
Yep.
It's just awesome.
It's such a complicated thing to explain to like people because it's not mainstream enough yet to the point where it's understood.
Yeah.
So like there's where there's mystery, there's money, right? That's sort of the old adage. And like right now there's a ton of mystery around blockchain. So like there's a lot of people that are making these movements in blockchain. Andreessen Horowitz, like you said, Sequoia Capital, they're doing these things, and these are gonna
Peter Thiel, yeah.
Peter Thiel's gonna. I mean, these are gonna show up at some point in the next 5 years, where there's going to be a very consumer-friendly thing that's blockchain-oriented, and you're not going to even know that necessarily as a consumer,
Right.
But these things are already in the works. They're already going to be happening, and so for people out there that don't understand blockchain right now, don't be too scared away by it, because it's going to show up in your life in a very easy to use, easy to understand fashion. It's not going to be some complicated thing.
Well, the best tech is the tech you don't even see.
Right.
Right. So a great example is have you ever tried hooking a printer up to a Chromebook? It's not simple, man. And I've been part of teams that build apps. We do certain stacks. It's not simple.
Yeah.
We're supposed to make tech to make everything easier, more
Right.
efficient.
But printers are based on an old an old software hardware encoding, and they have these drivers.
Yep.
And the drivers aren't written for Chrome browsers. You could probably get Linux drivers. You
Yeah.
could probably get drivers for Windows and Mac.
Yeah.
But you're not getting a Chromebook compatible driver.
And it's so hard.
And therefore you have to have a virtual print server, and
But they're
complicated.
affordable.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are buying them, and they're thinking, oh, awesome, I got my new Chromebook. But
Yep.
yeah, try getting that printer going.
I think the best way for those of you that are out there looking for tech support right now, you're going to have to do it over Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it.
But so to that
Because
point,
like HP will have a Google app.
Yeah.
That you can print to your HP printer over Wi-Fi.
yeah, just drag and drop. It'll make it that much
It's
simpler.
so much easier. But yeah, I get it. I totally understand.
So that's where I see
Peripherals-
real estate
Yeah.
really taking a cue from, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Open Door's doing it. Open Door is, corporations are going to start becoming the real estate investor.
Yeah.
And so
They
they're
already
doing
are
it.
to,
They
to
already
a,
are.
a certain point,
And they were saddled with one of the principal partners at Coastal Ventures. That's how they were able to get such big funding.
Yeah.
Because he had wonderful exits. Who else? Divvy Homes. I mean, there's so many things now.
Yeah.
Love talking about them because it's just cool to see how it's evolving. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because real estate, at the end of the day, it's offline. people need to live. You know, there's a lot of humanity in it, but there's so much that tech's able to actually do.
And it's one of the
better.
It's one of the industries that tech is not fully integrated into yet, too.
Yeah.
It's still one of the least technologically advanced industries in the entire country. You know, like construction being like the worst, because like there's no tech in construction. You might get.
Oh, we got 5.
Yeah, we got about 5 minutes.
We got 5 on it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, we can talk about this in 5 minutes. We got this.
This is a simple subject.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so yeah, it's one of those things. It's going to show up eventually. You know, I mean, Zillow is kind of one of the biggest real estate tech.
They're
things
doing
most
mortgage
people.
lending now.
Yes, they are.
They're going to try to go after the open door market.
Of course.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, eventually you're just going to have to. You have to keep growing, or you're going to die.
Yeah.
You know, and Zillow, they started out with their automated valuation model, you know, with their Zestimate.
Yeah.
And so many people, like, you know, latched onto it.
Yeah.
And Zillow's terrible. I mean, their estimates. If you live in a unique home, forget it. Your value's wrong. I can guarantee you that.
Well, the manufactured house. So we sell a place, you know, in a neighborhood nearby. We sold the home for $67,000. It's a great price for a mobile home in this one park. But next to the park is your normal stick-built suburban community.
Right.
But they calculate that cost into what the overall median price is. And so, you know, you get real estate agents quite pissed.
Oh, yeah, exactly, because everything's undervalued when people are looking at their Zestimate on their home.
So with 5 minutes, what is something we want to leave with your listeners today, Todd?
Well, you know, one thing I always like to leave the listeners with is, you know, for those of you that are interested in getting into real estate investing, or if you are a real estate investor already and want to get to know some more local people, you should come to the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club. We get together every 4th Wednesday of every month at the Mission Inn in downtown Riverside. We just had our meeting last night, so you have to wait until the end of March now to come to the next main monthly meeting. But we have 4 total meetings a month. The first Wednesday of the month is the Cash Flow Game. That's a board game created by Robert Kiyosaki. We play that at the Highland, the Round Table Clubhouse in Highland. That's on the first Wednesday from like 6 o'clock at night till usually wraps up around 10 o'clock or so. And then the second Wednesday of the month, we have the Let's Make a Deal meeting. This is our newest meeting.
Heard good things.
Oh, it was great, man. We had a good time. Like, we basically just take these deals that people have and talk about them. And if we can, we'll evaluate the deal in front of the crowd. We'll see if we can get somebody in there to like fund it. See if we have like lenders in the audience. It's pretty cool.
That'd be cool to put together a deal that got funded in that room.
That's what we're doing. Again, so we had 3 deals this last month that we, I think 2 of them didn't get funded, but you know,
cool.
but one of them I think is going through. So next month we'll do the same thing. Submit your deals to us, please, and we'll review them in front of the crowd. Let's see, third Wednesday, and then we have the Saturday before the 4th Wednesday.
At the Coffee Roasters.
Coffee, yeah, at Lyft.
At Lyft, that's right.
Lyft Coffee Roasters in Riverside on Chicago. We do that on the Saturday before the main monthly meeting. That's at 8 in the morning, so you got to come early. But we go till about 10 o'clock there, and you know, we just network. That's just a networking thing.
But your monthly meeting has food at it.
Yeah, at the monthly meeting we got food.
Which is great for people getting off work.
Exactly.
And you serve good food.
We do. We got we got tacos, and you know, we got coffee and soft drinks, all kinds of good stuff. So that's at the Mission Inn. For that, you can get all the details on meetup.com. Just go to meetup.com, look up the Inland Empire Real Estate Investment Club, or you can type that into Google or whatever. It'll take you to the page, and you'll find us there. Sign up. It's free to sign up. You know, each one of the meetings have a small cost because, you know, it's not free for us to do it. So it's like $30 for the main meeting and $10 for all the other ones, except for the Let's Make a Deal is $20 because that's at the Mission Inn also. So,
well, you guys are putting together a big production with it.
Yeah, it's a big production.
There's value there.
There's value.
Yeah.
It's worth it. We're not going to sell you anything. It's just, you know, it's just come out, network, get to know your fellow investors and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And you get to meet people like Neil Alonso over here, you know, and he could talk to you more about what he does in more detail.
Yeah,
so,
doing a lot of things.
Anything you want to leave? We got like a minute left.
Yeah. So for listeners out there that want to come to a meetup in Long Beach or in the LA area, we host one. You can look us up on Meetup at Real Estate Investment Solutions. So you just type that in and you'll find us. And it'd be great to meet people, other people who like, you know, real estate investing. And
absolutely.
It's been great because I met you, I met Steven, and there's so many good people that we've met in doing this. And it's really great to talk with people because it's hard sometimes to find like-minded things. And when you really connect with other people because everybody's just trying to cash flow.
Of course. Exactly.
Oh,
well, awesome. Hey, well, that's the end of the show, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in.